Hello there, a very good evening. Welcome to Rupavahini News. I'm Chamindi Samarasekara.
Good evening and a warm welcome indeed. I'm in Rajaj Surya. We start off with a look at the headlines for tonight. A mother and two daughters die in a train accident in an unprotected railway crossing. Sri Lanka and Indonesia reach an agreement to strengthen bilateral relations in political, trade and cultural fields. Several stern decisions are to be taken after holding the SLFP annual convention. The identification parade of the suspect in the Lasantha Wickrematunge assassination case has been postponed to Thursday the 11th. Touchadeen murder trial suspects former senior DIG Andra Senanayak and XOIC of Narayanpeta Crime Division have been remanded till Wednesday the 10th. An Emirates plane crash lands near the Dubai airport after catching fire. Now for those in more in detail, we start off with a look at local news. The chief priest of the Kalaniya Rajamaha Viharaya, the Venerable Professor Kollupitiya Mahinda Sangharakkhitha Thera, says no one should expect instant benefits from the government's programs headed by the President. He emphasized the need of providing assistance of everyone towards this end. The Kalaniya Rajamaha Viharaya Prelate expressed these views at the Kalani Sacred Area religious ceremony held yesterday. It was organized to invoke blessings of the Triple Gem to the country and the people in connection with the completion of 10,000 days of the President's parliamentary life. The chief priest of the Kalaniya Rajamaha Viharaya, the Venerable Professor Kollupitiya Mahinda Sangharakkhitha Thera, noted that many were of the view that they would be able to get flowers and fruit on the second day of planting a small plant. The Lord Buddha once preached that the farmers used to think that they would be able to harvest the yield of the first day after cultivating paddy. But it is not happening. Such a miracle cannot happen at any place in the world, he said. If people are expecting miracles from the present government headed by the President after 11 or 12 months of its election to power, then it is against the preaching of the Lord Buddha. The need of the present government is the implementation of a well-developed plan. It is the responsibility of the government headed by the President, and the people of this country should keep confidence rather in the government and the President with positive thinking and allow it to implement its future plans, he said.
Sri Lanka and Indonesia reached an agreement to further strengthen bilateral relations based on political, trade and cultural fields. The aim of the two countries is to maintain close cooperation in the fields of eliminating terrorism and illicit acts. This program of cooperation was announced during Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's official tour of Indonesia. The Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe held bilateral talks of mutual interest with Indonesian President Joko Widodo at Merdeka Palace in Jakarta this morning. An agreement was reached to further strengthen investment and trade ties by establishing bilateral steering committee. The attention was focused on obtaining Indonesian assistance to improve Sri Lanka's railways. A bilateral steering committee is to be established to strengthen investment and trade relations between the two countries. President Joko Widodo reminded the Sri Lankan Premier about the invitation extended to President Maithripala Sirisena to visit Indonesia. The Prime Minister informed the Indonesian President that the Sri Lankan President's tour of Indonesia will be made by next year. The Indonesian government has pledged to provide assistance to tackle complexities faced by Sri Lanka as a middle-income earning country. This was revealed at a discussion between Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Indonesian Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati. They focused attention on further expanding trade and economic ties between the two countries. The Indonesian Finance Minister noted that a special summit is to be organized, enabling South Asian countries to participate as a friendly extension of Asia where Indonesia has a membership. The Indonesian government emphasized the need of a new methodology to combat weapons and narcotics rackets as well as human smuggling. The Indonesian Defence Minister Wiranto told the visiting Sri Lankan Premier that Indonesia and Sri Lanka should work in close collaboration towards this end. The meeting between Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and Indonesian Defence Minister was held in Jakarta this afternoon. The need of working in close collaboration by Sri Lanka's Law and Order Ministry and Indonesia's Political Law and Defence Affairs Ministry was emphasized at the meeting attended by Minister Kabir Hashim, State Minister H.M. Fauzi and Deputy Minister Sujiva Senasinghe.
A mother and two daughters died when the motorcycle in which they were riding collided with a train at the Andagala unprotected railway crossing in Ganewata, Kurnagala. The railway control room said that these persons riding a motorcycle died when it collided with an express train operating from Kankasanture to Colombo, Fort at around 11:40 a.m. today. Residents allege that the railway gate is being kept open as there was no gatekeeper. A 33-year-old mother, resident of Weragala, Ulpatgama, and two daughters of the ages of 5 and 2 years respectively. Villagers who were provoked after the accident staged a protest demonstration, keeping the motorcycle on the railway line, and another train which arrived from Anuradhapura ran over the motorcycle. Meanwhile, a protest demonstration organized by the unprotected railway gatekeepers was held at the Medavachi railway station today. The train service has been disrupted for around 4 hours owing to the protest demonstrators who blocked the northern railway line. The train service on many railway lines were also disrupted as a result of closing railway gates on Mana railway line, and around 500 gatekeepers participated in the protest demonstrations. This matter was informed to Daminda Dissanayake, contacting him over the phone. Demonstrators called off their protest following the pledge given by the minister to find a solution for their demands.
Minister Vijit Vijayamuni Soisa told a media conference in Colombo today that several stern decisions are to be taken after the SLFP annual convention. Minister Vijit Vijayamuni Soisa noted that the SLFP annual convention is to be held shortly. Stern decisions will be taken after the convention. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party will be transformed to a powerful political party that could gain political power of the country again under the leadership of President Maithripala Sirisena.
The Child Protection Authority says that using of children for petty political objectives is unethical. The authority noted that they will implement the rule of law sternly against a group of opposition politicians who are responsible for using a child to utter slogans at the Padayatra. Many persons vehemently condemned using a child in the protest march organized by a minor group of the opposition recently. Television media highlighted the child who was chanting slogans during the protest demonstrations without any knowledge of his utterances. The Organization of Protecting People's Rights has lodged a complaint at the Child Protection Authority, questioning as to who was responsible for engaging this child in the political protest march in an abusing manner. The chairperson of the National Child Protection Authority, Dr. Natasha Balendra, said that legal action could be taken against persons responsible for causing physical or mental damage to a child by engaging him in political activities. According to the Penal Code, this matter could be considered as a physical or mental abuse, therefore committing a crime, she said. And in the meantime, Ms. Una Macaulay presented her credentials to Foreign Minister Mangala Samaraweera as the new resident coordinator for the United Nations and the resident representative for the UNDP in Sri Lanka. As the most senior UN official in the country, Ms. Macaulay will lead the UN country team of 21 residents and non-resident UN agencies and act as a representative of the UN Secretary-General in Sri Lanka. With close to 15 years of experience serving within the United Nations system and an additional 7 years of experience working with children in the development sector, Ms. Una Macaulay has been instrumental in developing policies and strategic frameworks on leading global issues in a number of countries. Ms. Una Macaulay is the first female to hold the position of UN Resident Coordinator and UNDP Resident Representative in Sri Lanka.
The suspect in the Lasantha Wickramatunge assassination case has been further remanded till the 11th of this month as the identification parade has not been conducted today. The identification parade was scheduled to held today at the Mount Lavinia Magistrate Court, but the suspect was not present in the court due to some ailment. Chief Magistrate Mohammed Shabdin has ordered to produce the suspect before the identification parade on the 11th of this month. CID officers informed the court the suspect has submitted medical reports claiming that he was suffering from paralysis. Additional Magistrate Mohammed Mihar today ordered to further remand ex-senior DIG Anura Senanayake and former OIC of the Narahempete Crime Investigation Division till the 10th of this month. This order was issued when National Ruggerite Wasim Tajdi's murder case was taken up for hearing today. Senior State Counsel informed the court that the CCTV footage relating to the incident has been sent for further investigations to a Canadian company. He also informed the court further investigations are continuing on telephone calls received from the Presidential Secretariat telephone numbers on the day of the murder. A petition filed at the Supreme Court to inquire into as to whether a contempt is committed due to the failure of MP Namal Rajapaksa before the Bribery Commission was taken up for hearing today. The three-member Supreme Court judge bench headed by Chief Justice K. Rupavahini has ordered to make written submissions of the two parties on preliminary objections before the 29th of this month. Hearing of evidence on the case of distributing white clothing for devotees who observed Sil at all temples in the country by spending 600 million rupees from Telecommunication Regulatory Commission took place today. The distribution of silk clothing took place during the previous presidential election period for the propaganda campaign of presidential candidate Mahinda Rajapaksa. Former Presidential Secretary Lalit Veeratunga and former Director General of the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission Anusha Palpita have been cited as suspects. Giving evidence at the Supreme Court, a supplier of silk clothing said that he has supplied white clothing material for two orders placed by the Presidential Secretariat and another order from the Presidential Advisor on Buddhist Affairs, the Venerable Vadinapaha Somananda Thera. He told the court that he has not received the sum of 50 million rupees for those three orders. The case will be taken up for hearing again on the 25th of this month. Indian suspects who were in detention at the Mirihana Special Detention Centre in connection with the kidney racket were produced before the Colombo Chief Magistrate Gihan Pilapitiya today. Police officers of the Colombo Crime Division appealed to the court to issue a separate order to obtain information relating to two suspicious kidney surgeries performed at a Colombo private hospital. The magistrate accepted the appeal and ordered to detain the suspects till the 16th of this month.
And a leading Japanese IT company, Mita Techno, opened a new IT higher education institution under the name Lanka Nippon BizTech Institution in Maharagama. This institution is established by the collaboration of Mita Techno and Sri Lankan company Sanit International and is unique because it not only teaches software engineering and computer science but also Japanese language and Japanese business culture, opening up possibilities for students to work in companies worldwide. One of the main advantages of studying at the Japanese institution is the potential of securing immediate employment opportunities in Sri Lanka or Japan. Sanit International too has offered to provide several internship opportunities for the Japanese institution students during the final year of study.
The cup planting ceremony of 4 Mahadevalayas took place at the auspicious time of 6:24 am today, marking the launching of the Kandy historic Asala Perahara. Branches of Panasa tree brought in a procession from Sri Dadimunda Devalaya in Alutnubara was planted facing the side of north, giving priority to the traditions of the ancient kingdoms. Devarna Nilame of Sri Dalada Maligawa Pradeep Nilangadala and Basnaik Nilames of Vishnu Kataragama Nath Pattini, 4 Mahadevalayas were present. The internal Perahara of 4 Mahadevalayas will be continued till the 7th of this month. The first Kumbal Perahara will begin on Monday the 8th. Randoli Perahara will parade the streets from the 12th to the 17th this month. The Kandiyasara Perahara will come to a close with the day Perahara on the 18th. The Tusker Nadungamya Raja carrying the casket of sacred tooth relic at the Kandi Asala Perahara has arrived in Moravaka today. The Tusker began its journey from Nittambo town at 9 am today. Raja is expected to arrive in Kandi on the 7th of this month. It has arrived to Nelumdeniya this evening via Pasyala and Varakapula areas.
Stepping away from local stories momentarily, the U.S. President Barack Obama yesterday stated the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is unfit to be the president. This is our special segment on the U.S. election, the battle for the White House.
Minister of the Republic of
In a
Singapore.
special press conference alongside the Prime Minister of Singapore, Obama questioned the Republican Party's continued endorsement of Trump.
Once again, I'm honored. The question I think that they have to ask themselves is, if you are repeatedly having to say in very strong terms that what he has said is unacceptable, why are you still endorsing him? What does this say about your party that this is your standard bearer? This isn't a situation where you have an episodic gaffe. This is daily and weekly, where they are distancing themselves from statements he's making. The fact that he doesn't appear to have basic knowledge around critical issues, Europe, in the Middle East, in Asia, means that he's woefully unprepared to do this job.
Trump has since replied to these statements criticizing Obama's presidency as disastrous for America.
Well, he's a terrible president. He'll probably go down as the worst president in the history of our country. He's been a total disaster. You look at what's happened to the Middle East, you look at what's happened with Syria and his line in the sand. I think it just means he's concerned that I'm going to win. Don't forget, he said last time I would never get the nomination. Now he's saying I wouldn't get the election. Now all of a sudden he said the other day, well, maybe I can win the election. No, I guess he probably has to say that kind of a thing.
Let's have a look around Asia in 1 minute.
At least 22 people are missing after a highway bridge connecting the city of Mumbai with the beach resort state of Goa in western India collapsed. North Korea has test-fired a ballistic missile which traveled 1,000 kilometers before landing in Japanese waters, South Korea and Japan say. Thailand is scheduled to hold a referendum on August 7th on a draft constitution made by the military government. It is first test of popularity since the May 2014 coup. A sandstorm hit cities along the west bank of Yellow River yesterday, which is the first sandstorm this year. Ji Kuang issued a yellow alert for the sandstorm. Queensland couple Ray and Lynn Mackay woke yesterday to find a sinkhole in their backyard, in which they lived for 25 years got smaller while a sinkhole got bigger, increasing from 1 meter to 8 meters in diameter in a few hours.
Coming back to more local stories now, Sri Lanka has become a part of the 23-country Frontier Market Group announced this June by a leading global financial services firm, according to the Minister of Industry and Commerce of Sri Lanka, Rishad Pathutin. The report, Sri Lanka 2016, comes at a time when Sri Lanka as a frontier market is part of the positively performing 23 frontier countries, said Minister Rishad Pathutin. He was addressing the launch event of the first country report titled The Report Sri Lanka 2016 by Oxford Business Group, a global publishing research and consultancy firm in Colombo recently. Minister Badruddin praised the group for its Sri Lankan initiative, and he noted that he has been given to understand that the first ever report on Sri Lanka by an internationally acclaimed publishing and consultancy group, the Oxford Business Group, is also a much-awaited milestone with a comprehensive overview of key investment opportunities of both domestic and international investors at this crucial time for the global economy.
Professor Nandadasa Kodaguda's 19th memorial oration was delivered at a ceremony held at the SLFI in Colombo yesterday. Professor Nandadasa Kodaguda was a patient-friendly physician and a very effective and pleasant communicator. He used the print, radio and later the television media to educate the public on numerous areas of science, medicine and health. His services to the nation centered primarily on public awareness programs on popularization of science, prevention of communicable and non-communicable diseases, substance abuse prevention and adolescent and reproductive health. The 19th memorial oration was delivered by Professor Ravindra Fernando on drug abuse in Sri Lanka, the past, present and the future. It was organized by the Nandadasa Kodaguda Memorial Trust.
In Sri Lanka, major illicit drugs used today are cannabis and heroin. Cannabis is widely cultivated in Sri Lanka, as I mentioned earlier. A significant increase is reported in the Kerala variety of cannabis known as Kerala ganja, smuggled from India. Heroin is the largest and the most commonly consumed opiate in Sri Lanka. Heroin has become a major health and social problem in the country. However, the non-medical use of pharmaceutical drugs is a unique category of substance use in a number of ways and requires attention at different levels.
It was a night of pride for print media journalists in the country when the best in the field were fitted at the annual Journalism Awards for Excellence ceremony held at Mount Lavinia Hotel yesterday. It was conducted for the 17th time in succession. Several awards of excellence, including the Best Reporter of the Year, Best Cartoonist, Best Photojournalist, the Best Newspaper with the Best Layout and the Best Newspaper Journalist, were awarded at the ceremony. Rivera Sunday Magazine received the B.A. Sirivardhan Award for the Best Newspaper Columnist of the Year.
Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation has been adjudged for the highest number of nominations for the 2016 Sumati Tele Awards ceremony. The SLRC has gained 28 nominations for Tele Awards in 22 categories. Specialty was the adjudication of Rupavahini for nominations to receive the awards in the categories of the Best One Act Teledrama, Best Television Documentary Program and Best Women's Television Program. Nominations for awards at the 2016 Sumati Tele Awards ceremony were announced at Sumati House in Colombo today. The award ceremony is to be held for the 21st time in succession. The performance and one-act teledramas as well as other programs telecast over local television channels in 2015 are to be scrutinized for awards. The chairman of Sumati Award Ceremony Organizing Committee, Deputy Speaker Tilanga Sumatipala, veteran artists, senior journalists and officers of the Sumati Group of companies were present on the occasion of announcing nomination for Tele Awards. Sumati Tele Awards ceremony will be held in the BMICH Colombo on the Thursday, the 18th.
And the All-Share Price Index closed at 6,511.58 points, increasing by 8.28 points, and the S&P SL20 Index closed at 3,530.98 points, also increasing by 1.31 points, and the end of trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange for today. Here is a summary of the market details of the Colombo Stock Exchange. Well, that's it from local news. A look at international news is... Welcome back. It's time for a look at international news now, as an Emirates plane has crash-landed at the Dubai International Airport. All 300 people on board were able to escape from the burning aircraft. Thick black smoke could be seen rising over Dubai International Airport after Emirates flight EK521 carrying 282 passengers and 18 crew was forced into an emergency landing. The plane had taken off from Trivandrum Airport, International Airport in South India, when the right-sided engine apparently began to catch flames as it landed on the runway. An explosion occurred whilst emergency crews were attempting to put out the fire. Incredibly, all passengers were safely evacuated and no one was harmed. All flights to the Dubai terminal have been diverted whilst emergency crews work at the scene. No cause has so far been established for the crash.
Now for some international news in brief. Intense fighting has continued around the Syrian city of Aleppo, where a rebel offensive is trying to break a government siege of rebel-held areas. Over the weekend, the rebels tried to reconnect an encircled area in the east with insurgent territory in the west.
Forces are tightening their grip on the rebel-held city of Aleppo, the country's second-largest city, and the sites they've set up so-called safe exit points, promising locals a safe way out of rebel.
South Africans are voting in local elections seen as a test for Presidential Jacob Zuma and the ruling African National Congress. The ANC has dominated the political landscape since the first all-race elections in 1994. But Zuma has had to weather scandal after being ordered to repay taxpayers' money spent on his private home. Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega has named his wife as his running mate and candidate for vice president as he seeks a re-election for a third term. First Lady Rosario Murillo has already has a prominent role as the chief government spokeswoman and is widely seen as sharing power with her husband.
And from the world of sport, we start off with a look at some cricket as the second test between Sri Lanka and Australia begins at the Galle International Stadium tomorrow. This is the 250th test game for Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka came into the series as underdogs despite playing at home, something which is unheard of, especially when it comes to the subcontinent nation. The hosts showed just how much conditions count during the first test, which they won by 106 runs. Vishwa Fernando will replace the injured Nuwan Pradeep in tomorrow's match, and John Logout will play for Australia instead of the injured Steve O'Keefe. Sri Lanka has won 15 out of 27 test matches played in Galle, and the pitch is known to be most suitable for spinners. Australia has won 10 out of 11 test series against Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka has managed to win in one test. Sri Lankan players said that they would be able to win the test series by playing as a team. Australian skipper Stephen Smith suffered his first defeat in Palikale as the captain of the team. Australia will lose the rankings of the top place amongst test-playing countries if they suffer a defeat in the Galle test. Australia will meet Sri Lanka in a test match for the first time in Galle since 2011.
Weather forecast. The Met Department says that strong winds can be expected over the country tomorrow, particularly over the Central Hills. Mainly fair weather conditions will prevail over the island. However, a few showers may occur in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galle district. This is the weather forecast for next 36 hours.
Well, that's it from the midweek edition of Rupavahini News for tonight. More stories tomorrow at the same time. Good night.